Welcome to another Alias SubD video. Today I want to go in depth into the cut tool. It's one of the tools I use the most in my workflow, and it is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools in Alias SubD. It is what makes Alias SubD a really great tool and a really fast tool. So today I'm going to show why it is such a great tool to learn and to know how to use it and how to execute it using sketches or anything, even if you're freestyling. But today I'm going to show it with this little doodle that I did, and I thought it would be good to do this doodle to show how the cut tool works. So let's start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a 1x1 plane, and I'm going to scale it. It doesn't have to be accurate. I just want a plane. And then before I start talking about the cut tool, I want to talk about how Alias SubD works. Basically, you have the cut tool and you have the insert edge loop. And the insert edge loop, what it does, it just inserts an edge loop in the middle between two other edge loops, and you can drag it or slide it along to where you need it. And you can insert as many as you want, and that way you're creating more rows of CVs. If I were to insert it this way, I can insert it this way, and you can see it goes all along and it inserts a full edge loop all the way. However, with the cut tool, it allows you to only insert edge loops between free form, like in a free form way. So I can insert one here, and I can insert one here, and I can insert one here, and I can snap to the CV and insert one there. That's how you use that tool. But as you can see, Alias kind of creates some weird surfacing that happens. The reason why that happens is because Alias, and as you know, if you worked with Alias traditional NURBS, creates quad surfaces. And basically, SubD is kind of based on these quad surfaces. So if I were to turn this SubD model off, you can see each surface, each face, is made out of 4 edges. And when you're using the cut tool, if I were to turn on the model, if you're using the cut tool and you insert an edge loop here and an edge loop here, now we have, let me turn box mode here. In SubD, we have a 3-sided surface and another 3-sided surface. But in NURBS, that's not the case. What happens is it can't really compute a 3-sided surface, so it divides this 3-sided surface into 3 4-sided surfaces. So each of these has 4 sides. And let's say we're doing 5-sided surface. Let's say I decide to just insert ACV here. Now what it does, I have a 5-sided surface here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have a 5-sided surface here. So if I turn to NURBS, then it computes it in a different way, where it still wants to make sure that there is surfaces with 5 sides. So even though this one looks like it's not, but you can see there's a point here that makes it look like it's 5-sided surface, or 4-sided surface. So we want to avoid using 3-sided surfaces or 5-sided surfaces or even more. We want to stick to just 4-sided surfaces. But with using the cut tool, that becomes hard. So today I'm going to show you how to use the cut tool to create the shape that you want, and then how to clean up your model to make sure you don't get these weird 3-sided surfaces that Alias doesn't really know how to compute. Okay, so let's start with our sketch. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to erase all of these loops that I just made, and I'm gonna start by making new ones. All right, so to start, I'm going to use the cut tool and the insert edge loop kind of together. But to start, I just want to insert horizontal edge loops that go with my shape. So one here for this edge, and then accept that. And then I'm going to go one here for this edge, accept that. I'm just hitting space to accept that. And then another one here, and one here in the bottom. Okay, so now I have these loops that go from east to west, and now I can use the cut tool. You guys have probably seen me use the cut tool before to create shapes like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go from here to here, and I'll just snap right there, and that is how I will be creating these shapes. And then I can go from here to here. All right. And another thing I can do is insert one here, and I'm gonna go ahead and insert one here, and then here and here. So another thing I'm going to show you today is how to make those edges fade. Like if you guys see my sketch, you can see that this line here kind of fades out, and this one kind of fades out too. So that's another thing I'm going to show you. Now I want to move this one a little bit more here to match the shape. And here, just adding more lead in. And another thing I want to do is add one here because that line also fades out. And I'm going to match it with this one because that one also will fade out. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and grab these ones. And I'm going to create some three-dimensionality to my shape. And I'm going to go into this view. I just want to see. And I'm just going to push these out. So this is what the shape is going to do. And then now that I have that, I'm going to shade the model. You can see this literally means nothing yet. But once, once I start creasing these edges, so this is how the cut tool is used. You can see I just traced my shape, and all I have to do now is crease these edges. So once I crease them, now you can see I'm starting to have a shape going on here that resembles my sketch. But we're not done yet. We're going to start adding more CVs to this model to make it even closer to the shape. Like you can see, these edges are too round. And yeah, they need more control. And they also need more surfacing, like transition between this one and this one. So again, using the cut tool, I'm just going to draw. I'm just going to go from here, and I'm just going to draw all the way to here. And that's going to create that transition. And then I can do the same thing here, and then draw from here to here. And I can move these a little bit to match my shape. So now if you look at my model, I have 4-sided shapes. I have 3-sided shapes. That's not going to work. I have to fix that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start making these 3-sided shapes or 5-sided shapes into 4-sided shapes. So I'm going to snap to this CV using Control, and I'm going to snap here. And then I can snap to this one and snap over here. This one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not ideal. So I want to snap maybe from here to here. Let's go from here to here, and from here to here. All right, and then we can go. This one we have 1, 2. Let's add a little bit more shape to this one. Let's turn on the shading. As you can see, the more CVs you add together here, the more tension you get there. So that's what I'm doing here, and then here, and here. So I'm just basically trying to get all these surfaces into 4-sided shapes. There, this one, I can go from here to here, and that will get me more shape there. I can add one over here. this one's going to be a full edge loop, so that's okay. And then I can, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I'm going to snap here, and I can go all the way here and add here. So now we have four-sided shapes here. This one can come down and it can snap here. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, we can do this over here, and it can also snap over here. And we can also probably crease this one. All right. So what is it looking like? It's starting to look a lot closer to the shape that we have. And as you notice, it didn't really take that long to create that shape. It is a fairly complicated shape. There's a lot of surfaces that are interacting with each other, but with the cut tool, it's really easy to just like trace your shape. You're basically tracing it. You're cutting into your plane here to match where your CVs go, and then going back and cleaning that and adding more rows of CV to make sure that you get these four-sided shapes. So that's how I use, that's kind of my workflow, really, how I use Alias SubD to create models fairly quickly. And then here, let's add another row because we need one here and we actually need one here. So that one did us a favor twice. And now all we have to do is kind of go in here and start adding a little bit more definition to our model, start adding some lead-in to make sure it matches the sketch better. So that one's too high. I'm going to create some angle to this one. Yeah. And this one, this part is not really, it doesn't really have to be accurate. Like I said, the sketch was pretty fast. I wasn't really paying attention to the detail in the sketch. It was just for to show an example, a good example to show how to use the cut tool. All right. So now that I have that, let's look at that. It's got some good three-dimensionality to it. What I'm going to do, you can see here, the crease tool is not really doing a good job. It's kind of flicking up. So to fix that, I just have to insert another edge loop here, and that should fix that. And in the bottom, it's doing it, but not so much. And yeah, just add one here. And actually, I'm going to also bring this all the way here. So yeah, that is working better. Of course, now we have a three-sided surface. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have three-sided surface. You can. I don't recommend it, but sometimes there's no really like a good way to get around it. To having three-sided surface. Sometimes it's actually the cleaner solution. But in this case, I'm actually going to get rid of it, and I'm going to make sure I don't have three-sided surfaces. Because this is just a good practice to have in your models to not have three-sided surfaces. So now that I have that, it's pretty accurate. It did the job, but I'm going to hide my sketch. But now I want to add, I want to show how to fade this out without using the crease tool. So now I have the crease tool, but what if I want to have it a really sharp edge with fillets and it fades out into a really soft edge? So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to select these edges that I used to crease to create the shape. And I'm going to go ahead and select them all. And what I'm going to do is, I can hit Shift and middle mouse click to drag select. And I can do the same thing here. And what I can do here is use the bevel tool. So if I use the bevel tool, it's going to add a bevel around all of these edges, which is basically another edge loop right next to it. Okay, and here you can select the distance, and you have some other options. But we're just going to keep it default with a distance of 5 mils. Okay, and I'm going to select these edges that I just created. And then now what I'm going to do is uncrease them. And this is how I fade things out. So instead of having this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided surface, I'm just going to create a 3-sided surface like this that comes to a point. So it comes to a point, and now I can get rid of these edges. So now I have 4-sided surfaces, 4-sided surfaces, and 3-sided surfaces here. And then I can do the same thing here. I can come to a point. This is where it's going to vanish. And I can get rid of these two. And I will do this same thing here. I can come to a point, and then I can erase these. I believe I have one more spot to do that. Yep. So yeah, bring this. I'm using the cut tool here and snapping to these CVs. I'm using control to snap. That's how you snap to CVs. I can get rid of these. And now I have this fillet that fades out. Now it's not a very sharp fillet, but this is actually to our advantage. So now what we can do, we have these 3-sided surfaces here, and I can insert an edge loop, and it's going to insert it all the way around my shape. And this is going to create a more of a sharp fillet there. You can see it's sharper than this one, and it will create a 4-sided surface here. So again, I'm going to do that in this part as well. And that's how I create that. All right. So yeah, that was pretty quick. Now I can go in and I can modify this to make it cleaner a little bit. I noticed that I want a little more tension here. So instead of just having one line here, it's not really creating much tension there. I want that to be a more defined line. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this, snap a CV here, and I'm going to snap it here all the way, and then I can snap it back here. So now this is going to be a more defined line there, and I can do the same thing here. Here I already have one. All I have to do is bring these CVs, and I'm actually going to use the, oh, I can't use that, but I'm going to bring these CVs closer to that one. So to that, I'm going to go to the plan view and make sure I'm dragging along. I don't want to affect the shape in other views. And then same thing here. I want to create more of a sharp transition here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from here to here, and then I can erase this one actually, and then I can go from here to here. So now I have 3-sided surfaces here. This one could come out. Okay. This one as well. This one can go this way and go in. Just cleaning up the model. Now I have 3-sided surfaces here, and I have 3-sided surfaces here. I can go. Maybe this one is fine. Yeah, it's not really creating any issues with the highlights. This one is fine as well. Let's see. Yeah. It's acceptable. Here we've already got the desired amount of tension. So yeah. All right. So yeah, this is my shape. Yeah, this is kind of an in-depth look at how I use the cut tool. It's very powerful tool. From you can see, this really didn't take that much time, and it is fairly complicated shape, even though it looks simple, but it's got a lot of lines to it, a lot of interactions. And this is something, it is a very much an automotive shape. As you can see, this is probably something that you will encounter if you're building, like, let's say this could be like a highlight that comes off like an intake from the front end, and then, or this could be like a body side feature. So it's very, very useful. That way you can use the cut tool if you're making body sides that have a shape in there. You don't really know how to start. You can just literally start cutting into it using the cut tool and just tracing the shape that you desire. And then you can pop it out, create some depth to it, and then start cutting into it even more, and then make sure you then connect these edge loops to something to make sure that there is four-sided shapes to them. So yeah, fairly short video. I'm going to conclude here, but I hope that you learned something and kind of show how I do SubD and how my workflow is on the cut tool, because it is a very powerful tool. So yeah, that's it. Let me show you the box mode, and I'll see you guys next time.